You start to kind of maybe get out of that game. So someone who looks to transition from, I guess, two questions. First of all, you had some capital when you started. So do you feel that people need to have a certain amount of capital before they kind of jump into it? Is that something that's necessary, and how much is necessary?
Yeah, I do think it's necessary. I mean, here's the thing, right? Entrepreneurship is a great place to generate the capital needed to invest. But, it's hard to invest without money. I mean, that's one of the biggest, fallacies out there. You hear in a podcast, and it sounds like all you need to do in real estate is, say you're in real estate and start talking about cash flow, and you're going to become you're going to be financially free in 5 years. It doesn't work that way. The reality is that there is math behind this. The math is that, wealth is, I have an equation. I usually say it's wealth is the product of mass, which is how much money you put into investments, times leverage, which is using other people's money, times velocity, which is essentially your return, your cash on cash investment, cash on cash returns. And so the big challenge there is that, you got to have mass, right? Then it doesn't matter how much leverage or velocity you have. You've got to have mass. So, to your point about, working harder, multiplying yourself, I think for a period of time, that's okay. I mean, I think in the entrepreneurial world, we often talk about scaling. We often talk about, don't have a business that just relies on yourself. I think these things are all true. But sometimes if you're doing pretty well with that, then you're creating money that you can use to do other things, right? One of the mistakes that I have found that a lot of my entrepreneurial friends have made, and to a certain extent I made early on, was that they get so uniformly interested in just their own business that they never take money off the table to start to invest and create other streams of income that are maybe more passive, maybe not require as much time. And they do really, really well. They're making, $1 million, $2 million a year, and they keep dumping extra money to grow and grow and grow. And then one day, something bad happens, right? And maybe it's a temporary thing, but you don't have a lot of money. And then you realize, holy cow, I got everything I own, everything I am in this business. And that is scary as hell, right? That's scary as hell. And so I have been there to a certain extent, and I have done that to a certain extent. So I would just say to people that, if you're doing well, I mean, that's great. Just make sure that you start thinking of, okay, well, what happens if this business goes south? Am I coming up with a plan B simultaneously that's not going to make it so I'm like completely broke?